Okay, so error correction. Yeah, some people, the very common error, arrive to. No, you arrive in a country. Right? A country is like a large area, so it's sort of like a container. You arrive in it. You arrive at TAFE. You arrive at school. You arrive at hospital. So a point on the map is at. You arrive in Melbourne, so larger area. So cities, big cities, and countries you arrive in, or you arrive at, but never arrive to. Very, very common error. So you come to, it's probably getting mixed up, you come to a new country, fine, but not arrive to. Yeah, and this is, it's a passive here. I don't involve in the class, I am involved in the class. I get involved. If you want to say get or become, to emphasise the process, that's okay. But it has to be a passive. So involve has a passive structure. There is a way you can write it actively. They involve themselves in the new culture. Then you can write it actively. But you've got to have what we call that reflexive element. She involved herself in the new theatre company. That's okay, you can write that actively, but you've got to have this herself, himself, themselves, if you want to use it actively. Is that clear? The usual form is passive.
What about get involved?
Get involved, fine, yeah. Get, that's the passive. Just, however, you've got a problem with get when it comes to writing, haven't you? I've said avoid get, it's spoken. So what's our best replacement for get? That's in a different context, yeah. I got a new car, I obtained a new car, but when you say get involved, it's the process. Become, right. Become can often replace get when you talk about, yeah, he got involved in the new organisation or whatever. Yeah, now, immigrate, it exists. It exists in the dictionary, but almost, you know, it's very rarely used. And the really dominant form is migrate. Okay, as a verb. We're talking about the verb. You can say, I'm an immigrant. Right? Or immigrants often find it difficult to adjust. But again, the dominant form is migrant. So, you can write it, but it's just really fairly unusual. So just go with all the rest of the sheep. If you want to sound natural, sort of flowing, migrate and migrant. Yes, this is a common problem, not living style or style of life, lifestyle. That's the package. And yeah, not birth country, native country is your collocation. If you want to write this, you can write country of birth. You can do that. That works, but not birth country. Can't do that. So you can say native country or country of birth. Common error, sometime. That's different. It's like, oh, sometime I must fix my computer, but you know, I can't be bothered. Like just a vague time in the future, sometime. Let's get together sometime. Yeah? And you don't really mean it. Right? Just vague in the future. That's different from some, and that's two words. Some, I must fix my computer sometime. Two separate words like that. Different meaning from sometimes, isn't it? Sometimes, one word, yes, with the S. Correct. Bad. Remember our list of prohibited words, $70 fine. Yeah. Choose, yeah, something gives a bit more colour, a bit more precision. Bad, good, big, you know, these kind of grade 1 primary school words, throw them out. Get a bit more accurate, a bit more descriptive, that's good. And no, look, manage to integrate, we've got to have a, we can't put a D on there. You've got to have your infinitive, but spell it. Right? That was a very common error, because I think everybody picked this topic. because, I understand why. It's easy to write about for you. But it was just, I don't know, half the papers had the R in it. Yeah, because, interrupt and international, it's a prefix, isn't it, with the ER. However, for this word, you drop the R. Common native speaker error, for the same reason that usually we do write ER. Integrate has no R there. Now, okay, this is not a problem, that's all okay. And that's okay. Which is. If it's which is one, yeah, you've got a subject verb agreement, you can't say which are one. Which is one, that's all correct. Okay, the problem here is something people want to express or get across from one person to the other. I often find people want a verb. Best one is that. You know that verb? Convey. Convey literally means to carry from one place, like transfer, but you can't say transfer, it's not a collocation. Convey. Think of, in a factory, a conveyor belt. You've got all your cans of baked beans, and they put the top on, and the belt goes along. That is called a conveyor belt, because it carries things. So your metaphor here is, you've got an opinion in one person, it's going to come out of their mouth and get carried into the ear of the other person, right? Convey. And so you can convey an idea, convey a concept, those are the common things. It's just a verb that not everyone knows, but often we need it. It's a good verb for communication. And so when you think of that word, yeah, that's more, transfer is a very physical thing. You need that one. Now here, one of the reasons, correct. One of the, remember that structure? One of the, and you're always going to have a plural there. That's a really, if you've got an N problem, I bet probably somewhere in your piece you've got that one. It's so common to forget that plural. Think of it. What you're basically saying is, whatever it is, they could be reasons, they could be watermelons, I'll have one of the watermelons, one of many, isn't it? You're going to have your plural. One of the reasons for. And, okay, the reason for something is not the reason of. Really common preposition there. The reason for has to be there. Okay, yes, of is correct. However, something else we need to change. Incapable of catching. Yeah. So here's what to remember. Incapable of is a package. That's your collocation. Now, once you've got that collocation, what part of speech is that? Preposition, right. And what is an iron rule, 100% rule, not many in English, 100% rule about prepositions? What is always going to come after a preposition? Noun, that's right. You've got to have a noun. And it could be a gerund. Yeah. So in this case, you've got to turn it into a gerund to create a noun. So there are lots of these sort of adjective structures, incapable of, yes, and you've got an of or a preposition there. Then you've got to have a noun. It could be a gerund, but it may not be. Incapable of, you could say, incapable of, just think of non-gerund, it would be simple. They're incapable of registration. You don't have to have a gerund. It could be another kind of noun, but it's got to be a noun. But, yeah, so that issue around that word. And yes, that one. Good. Do you remember when we did countables and uncountables? I reckon that was in our list. If you go back and have a look at that Cambridge Grammar list of all those words that are fixed in the plural. Like surroundings, outskirts. There's a whole, remember that list of about 15, 20 words that always just have the S fixed. You can't say my surrounding. It's always my surroundings, because there's more than one thing around you. Yeah. So they were just ones that, not necessarily people repeated here, but they're just ones I noticed that, I know people repeat or make a lot of time, these kind of areas. Yeah, so that's the writing. So, tonight, finish off your corrections, and if you've got any curly questions in the morning, I still don't get this one, or this one, or this one. Alright, then we'll have a little bit of time tomorrow, because it was only about half the class here. Yep. So, other people will need a little bit of time to get their bits back, and you guys, if you've corrected yours, you can be editors for them, and you can be their consultants. You can decide your consultancy fee. And we'll just have 10 minutes call now where they get a bit of a chance to have a look at their own pieces. Hopefully you have edited it and then typed it up, corrected it, but also critically worked out your error categories. What are they? I see some people with some quite good lists already in numbers. Don't have any surprises in there? What kind of error are you making? Sometimes there's a little surprise. Pleasant or unpleasant surprise.
Almost all covered in this paper.
I would suggest that you do that every time you get a piece back. We've got a few more pieces of writing to go. Some for assessment, some not. And just keep doing this as a regular exercise. And you'll see it does change a little bit because, for example, if you write a recap about the past tense, you might make a lot of tense errors, but then maybe you're writing something about science, which is in the present tense, and it's easy, you don't make so many tense errors. So the genre and the kind of task can sometimes influence the profile of error type that you make. So don't base your self-knowledge on just one piece. You've got to keep doing it and build up a kind of average. And as I say, the average will change over time, and you've got to keep monitoring. If you really want to be sharp in your self-corrective practice, keep monitoring it. Amen.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, when are we going to have the next set of assessments? Is it like probably 2 weeks from now?
They just happen, as I said. Yep.
It could be next week or the week
Could be in 5 minutes' time. No, we're not going to have one today. Yeah. We're just going to work our way through 3 of each over time. Yeah.